Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Today is a beautiful day to sit down, take a deep breath, and dissect some truly chaotic, mind-bending television. Grab a drink and settle in, because we have a massive amount of ground to cover and I am not holding anything back. I am absolutely furious, fascinated, and completely overwhelmed by the storytelling choices in this June 12th episode. The sheer audacity of the writing right now is burning in my head, and I need to get these thoughts out before I explode. We are watching a masterclass in how to build tension, but we are also watching some of the most frustrating, borderline destructive character assassinations I have seen in modern soap history. The pacing is relentless, the emotional stakes are through the roof, and the interconnected webs of lies are finally starting to snap. I am not just watching as a fan, I am watching as someone who understands the structural mechanics of a daily drama, and let me tell you, the writers are playing a terrifying game of structural Jenga right now. Let me say this clearly. Alexis Davis is crossing a line that she can never, ever uncross. I am watching this woman, a former pillar of legal ethics and moral grandstanding, weaponize her brilliant legal mind not for justice, but for pure, selfish, toxic grief. She is actively using her persuasive powers to figure out a way to strip Brooke Lynn of her adoptive rights to baby Phoebe. Why? Because Alexis wants to take that baby and hand her over to Molly. Am I supposed to pretend that this makes sense for the Alexis we used to know? No. But as a writer, I am absolutely captivated by the profound darkness of it. This is grief mutating into malice. Alexis lost Christina to distance and betrayal. She lost Molly's trust because Christina just dropped the nuclear bomb that they kidnapped Rick Lansing months ago. Alexis is completely isolated, entirely stripped of her identity as a mother. So what does she do? She decides to play God. She decides to steal a child. And how is she doing it? By plotting to expose Ethan Lovett as the biological father, thereby voiding the closed adoption that Brooke Lynn and Chase just fought so hard to secure. It is structurally brilliant because it is so incredibly toxic. But it also makes me sick to my stomach. You do not just patch the gaping, bleeding hole in your own family by ripping apart someone else's. Alexis thinks that handing this baby to Molly will magically cure Molly's infertility trauma and erase the profound betrayal of the Rick kidnapping. It is lazy emotional math on Alexis's part, and it is going to blow up in her face. If the writers think we are going to root for Alexis in this custody war, they are profoundly mistaken. I am rooting for Brooke Lynn with every fiber of my being, and I never thought I would say that so fiercely. Because Ethan Lovett is standing right there, agonizing over his choices. Ethan is weighing his options, trying to figure out how to actually protect Phoebe. Can we be honest about this for a second? Ethan has historically been a drifter, a charmer, a man who inherited his father's knack for running away from heavy responsibilities. Seeing him actually paralyzed by the weight of fatherhood is the most grounded, emotionally resonant character work he has been given in years. He wants to protect this little girl. He knows that a closed adoption with Chase and Brooke Lynn is the safest path. But he is trapped. If Ethan steps up and claims his child to stop Alexis, Ava Jerome will destroy him with the secrets she is holding over his head regarding Delilah. If he stays quiet, Alexis destroys Brooke Lynn. The dramatic tension here is suffocating. Ethan is the linchpin of this entire disaster, and his internal conflict is driving the emotional truth of the storyline. So, what does Brooke Lynn do when her entire world is collapsing? When her motherhood is threatened by Alexis and her marriage is being suffocated by Willow Kane's dark, relentless pressure? She goes to Sonny Corinthos. I mean, honestly, what are we doing here? Brooke Lynn Quartermaine, the heir to the ELQ legacy, a woman who has Tracy Quartermaine sitting in her living room, is running to the local mob boss for marital and custody advice. It is absurd on its face, but it perfectly illustrates how completely isolated and desperate she feels. Brooke Lynn is carrying the crushing guilt of being the hit-and-run driver who struck Jordan. She is drowning in secrets. She cannot go to Chase because Chase is the law. She cannot go to Tracy without getting a lecture on Quartermaine ruthlessness. So she goes to Sonny, the man who operates entirely outside the boundaries of the law. And Sonny gives her a shocking piece of advice. We know Sonny. His solutions usually involve a burner phone, a dark alley, and Brick doing surveillance. If Sonny is telling Brooke Lynn to play dirty, to use leverage, or to embrace the darkness to protect her family, we are looking at a fundamental, irreversible shift in Brooke Lynn's character. She is a legacy character. Pushing her into mob-adjacent tactics to save her adoption and her marriage is a massive storytelling choice. I am terrified of where this is going, but I cannot look away. It shows that the writers are willing to permanently stain Brooke Lynn's hands to push the plot forward. But let us talk about the real menace in Brooke Lynn's life right now, Willow Kane. I am sorry, but this did not work for me for the longest time. Willow used to be the patron saint of Port Charles, the pure, angelic nurse who could do no wrong. It was boring. It was flat. But suddenly, the writers have flipped a switch, and Willow has become a phenomenal, terrifying villain. She is a cornered animal. She drugged Drew, she shot Drew, she is being blackmailed by Jack Brennan, and now she is projecting all of that chaotic, destructive energy onto Chase and Brooke Lynn. Willow is leaning into this dark, twisted dynamic with Chase, pressing boundaries, manipulating his lingering feelings, and actively trying to fracture his marriage. And she is doing all of this while Michael is literally paying a private investigator to take photos of her betrayal. Willow is a wrecking ball, disguised as a victim, and it is thrilling to watch her self-destruct. Enter Tracy Quartermaine. All caps required. Thank God for Tracy Quartermaine. When Tracy delivered those harsh, blistering words to Willow in this episode, it was like the writers finally remembered the history and the heartbeat of this show. Tracy does not suffer fools, and she certainly does not suffer hypocrites. Tracy ripping into Willow about her dark, inappropriate relationship with Chase was the exact catharsis we all desperately needed as an audience. Tracy saw right through Willow's wide-eyed, innocent facade. She marched right up to her and delivered a warning that should have shaken Willow to her core. The rhythm of that scene was absolute perfection. The dialogue landed like physical punches, short, sharp, devastating. Tracy knows exactly what Willow is doing. She knows Willow is trying to blow up Brooke Lynn's life because Willow's own life is a toxic wasteland. This is exactly how legacy characters should be utilized in a soap opera. They should be the immune system of the show, attacking the toxic elements that threaten the family unit. Tracy, protecting Brooke Lynn, fiercely and without apology, is the emotional anchor this chaotic storyline desperately requires. But while the women of Port Charles are fighting a psychological and legal war for their families, Harrison Chase is out here completely blind to his own domestic collapse, doing actual, high-stakes police work. Chase makes a massive, high-profile arrest, and the shockwaves are going to be felt across the entire canvas. He arrests Jen Sidwell for the shooting of Lucas Jones. Let me unpack this, because the structural irony here is wild. Chase is walking around celebrating the good news about Phoebe's adoption, thinking he is winning at life. He thinks he is taking down the bad guy. He slaps the cuffs on Sidwell, feeling like the ultimate hero. Arresting Sidwell is a monumental move. Lucas has been playing a terrifying, high-stakes game of espionage at Windermere, breaking into safes and stealing blackmail negatives to protect Sonny and Laura. Sidwell caught on to it, and the resulting violence has brought the PCPD crashing down on him. But Sidwell is not just a random thug. He is deeply, dangerously connected to Ross Cullum and the rogue WSB faction that is currently holding Jocelyn and Liesl Obrecht hostage in a nightmare scenario. If Chase arrests Sidwell, he is unwittingly kicking a hornet's nest that he does not even begin to understand. He is pulling a thread that connects to international terrorism, kidnapping, and psychological torture. That is the profound, tragic irony of Harrison Chase right now. He is written as the classic tragic hero. He thinks his adoption of Phoebe is secure, completely unaware that Alexis is actively plotting to steal his baby. He thinks his marriage to Brooke Lynn is solid, completely unaware that she is the hit-and-run driver who struck his former boss and that Michael is plotting to expose her. He thinks Willow is just a friend in need, completely oblivious to the fact that she is a ticking time bomb of betrayal and criminal cover-ups. The writers are stacking the dramatic irony so heavily against Chase that when the collapse finally happens, it is going to be biblical. He is going to lose his child, his wife, his best friend, and his entire reality in one fell swoop. I am looking at the board right now, and I see absolute devastation coming. The writers are building a massive house of cards, and every single character is holding a match. Alexis's grief-fueled legal terrorism, Ethan's paralyzing guilt, Brooklyn's mob-adjacent desperation, Tracy's fierce Quartermaine defense, Willow's rapid descent into darkness, and Chase's blind, tragic heroism. It is a masterclass in soap opera plotting, even when the character choices make me want to scream at my television. I am predicting right now that Alexis will pull the trigger on Ethan's identity. She will do it. She is too far gone to stop. And it will be the final, fatal nail in the coffin for her relationship with her daughters. Molly will reject that baby because it is tainted by Alexis's cruelty. Brooklyn will lose everything and become an absolute monster to get it back, fully embracing the Quartermaine ruthlessness she has tried so hard to avoid. And Willow? Willow is going to burn her entire life to the ground, taking Chase down with her, just as Michael snaps the final photograph. This show is firing on all cylinders. The stakes have never been higher, and I will be sitting right here, furious and captivated for every single second of it.